All right, right now I'm just trying to see what direction I want to lead with first. The one thing about an artist is when you start or present uh, mixed with both. So when you start a poem or you start a drawing or music or a draft or paper or whatever it is, a rap song, whatever it is that you start or work on, um, it's the image that you create that you want people to see first before you give them a punchline or a purpose, right? Sort of like preachers do it, honestly. Uh, they drive home a negative and give you the amped up positive. There's actually a documentary out. I can't think of the name of it, which leads me to one of my main thoughts of process because I will reveal a lot of concepts. Uh, Check the source's source. What I mean by that is if I say something, don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. But I will leave crumbs for you to check yourself. And if you take the time to even do a little of the research, then you will agree too. Now, I am not the smartest person ever. In fact, I just said that I uh, may be dyslexic. But I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, I'm not the smartest person. But over time, I've uh, considered to say I know a little bit about a lot. So I've never really studied one thing that leads me to my points, right? But there's a collective truth or finding or base or root behind how and why you and I as people interact the way we do. Now, population is a issue only because we make it one. And we vie and we fight and we feel that there's a struggle. Yet there can and there should be peace. And this we could achieve, but we have to start somewhere. And the start is with the message and the teachings. Again, I don't claim to know it all because people that have done more research than I have inspired me. So those are the people who I give credit to in all of the things that I say or will say throughout. And these are the nooks and crannies that I will leave to prove the point that money is the issue. And with today being the Super Bowl, again, is a prime example of one of the ways we are exploited as black people. We came here as money, traded for currency, as money. We worked in the spoils of our tooling was for money. We are currently in a system where those who break through, so to speak, have and don't share, but how much sharing could there be, right? So this is the points that I'm trying to make. We as a black population are numbered, and we have more in agreement than we believe. We are living our lives governed by pieces of paper that are controlled by manipulating bigots, to say it simply. There is a way we can combat the issue, but it takes us uniting. One of the things I believe should happen immediately is all of the military members that are some other category. In other words, not white male or not white female, Caucasian. If they cannot classify as that, should quit any aspect of law enforcement or military service. Take your training and come train the people how to defend themselves, because if or when we can unite, we will have the power. Some people will ask, how is this possible? I have figured a few ways in my imagination to combat some issues, but again, it would take peace amongst the people. That means every black person, everywhere, pass the word to no longer commit violence to each other. Watch us in peace and in harmony control the world, not just the United States, but the world. If we could provide food and shelter for all those in need and eliminate the need for law enforcement, eliminate the need of threat amongst ourselves, how can we do this? I think again about how long I've been thinking about writing this book, and I just haven't had the balls to do it, and I still don't. So this is a way for me to be creative and giving my thoughts and expressions, right? I don't know where to go next. I believe that education starts with our children. If the population today did not have to struggle for food and shelter, and we could actually teach children the English language, which because that's a world language now. Let's use what we have available to us, but teach them what to read initially, right? Take them out of the current public school system, right? And teach everyone to read. I think of an Apple Series C. I will reference that television series a couple of times throughout this, and as I will mention a few other things and reference it throughout. This is truly a call out to anybody with power or who thinks they have power. That's a whole other concept, right? So I'll try to separate that. Uh, we all vie for attention, and we all have received it in different ways. A perfect example is Kobe Bryant. I feel because I enjoyed watching Kobe as much as I didn't like him. I don't know where I was going with that, but that was something I felt like I needed to say. Kobe will be remembered, which leads to one of my concepts. We as people, uh, we are very similar to shoes, where shoes have soles, and we are actually living souls, just as if you had on a pair of shoes. But don't misconstrue the two, but they are very similar. Your soul is what you give people, what that was subjective. Your soul is what people think about you when they walk away from you, depending on how many times they've had an interaction with you, depending on what the situation is. Like a shoe from a distance, you might not recognize it as a shoe. But as it gets closer or you approach it, you can see that it's a shoe, maybe a running shoe or a heel. You can recognize the style of shoe. Some shoes might even look very similar, but you don't know the difference until you actually try the shoes on. Then there's different styles of the same genre, like running shoes or basketball shoes. And you may have interacted with a number of them, but your view about them is just yours. how or what that shoe did for you. We talk about the ancestors and the spirit. So your soul is what you give people. Your spirit is what they say about you afterwards. And depending on how close a person was to you will depend on how they view you or what they say about you. This is one of the reasons why they say, I've listened to the spirit of my ancestors. All the spirit of your ancestors is the wisdom that they passed down, that they gave to you through their words that were useful, that you didn't recognize as useful when they were given to you. Or it may be a revelation that you received, some epiphany that you have gotten. I believe that there's an earth's energy and we all interact with each other. And how you rub someone, that spirit that they left you, is what you'll remember of that person and how you approach them next. Did I say we need to end violence? Make a pact amongst all people of melanin to say that we will not vie against each other? Have I answered how? So one of my book ideas was to tell a dream. No, I said that wrong. So me tell a story. And the story is told within a dream about a dream of a female version or depiction of me. That was just a random thought going into something I wrote called Dreamers. I'm going to try to read it. I'm not sure how ugly it is, but we'll see. I find myself dreaming of writing. It's the same no matter the time or day or the condition of slumber. I think often of the many words I have gotten lost in over the years. Countless hours spent grueling over syllables and lost in the art. The art of being casted into swirling winds of rhythmic flows, causing tornado-like destruction to any mind in its path. Awakening and trembles that my words will not reach this level of effect without rippling off the intellectual creations of my inspiration. And that's without ripping off the intellectual creations of my inspiration. It's funny, I think I mentioned that already, that I'll be referencing a lot of people. Let it be clear that nothing in pass on when relaying my thoughts are my own. I'll say that again. Let it be clear that nothing I pass on when relaying my thoughts are my own. Only meaning that it is no more that than my creative expression of that which already exists. There is nothing new under the sun, yet art allows us for new views of old matters. Each piece of work reverent independently, depending on individual interpretation of the new morsels of art, which is based on previous expression to the reference or references used by the artist based on their comprehension of desired message. In the dream, there is a young toothpick thin girl with fire engine red hair that dreams out of desperation. Her the youngest of four, all born to one mother that was sucked in by what girl would know as the Grim Reaper. The Grim